G'day on the Out of fans. Welcome to Thursday night tipping. We're coming to you from on the Outer headquarters, where we have a permanent portal to the 2019 grand final set up there. Hopefully we don't get sucked back in. I hope that I do. That was one of the great days of my life. Lemons, welcome back. More tipping for you this week, I assume.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for having me back. Very exciting week for the tips this week, Tom, with results. I'll let them speak for themselves. I tipped 8 this week, putting me in first place. You had 7 and Gus had 6. So we'll be putting a funny hat on that photo for him down there. Yep, there we go. And that means that I am now tied with Gus for second on the leaderboard with 55, and you are a mere 6 tips ahead on 61. So it's anyone's game at this stage of the season.
61. Okay, let's hope I can nab a strategic 8 tips this week.
I reckon and we'll 4 and 4 over the next 2 weeks. So that should be
we will start Friday night, probably the match of the round, you would have to say, the Dustin Martin Cup, Richmond versus Sydney Swans. This one is 7:50 at the SCG. Obviously, plenty of discussion about Swans' poor record at home, but they did have a very healthy win against the Bombers there a few weeks ago. I think that Richmond can certainly win this game. I think it'll be pretty close. But with Lynch, Bolter and Lambert all missing, that's a really key player in each sort of third of the ground. I think that tips the scales towards the Swans for me. So I'm going to go with Sydney narrowly.
Yeah, this is the game of the round. I agree. This is pretty exciting. I think the Swans... I mean, they're going to have to show something. Otherwise, things are going to fall apart very quickly for them. I think they will. I think they've got enough to beat the Tigers at home. I think they'll rally and show Dustin Martin what he's missing, a functional team, out of the fishbowl, and really sort of use it as a chance to sell Sydney as a location for him to come to next year. So, yeah, Sydney Swans for me. And Gussie has also gone with the Swannies. So that's all 3 of us for the Swans.
Yes. As I mentioned on the main body, but for anyone who missed it, this is the narrowest margin that 2 teams have been separated by in the history of the footy, coming up against each other with a 0.19% difference. Saturday afternoon is Brisbane versus GWS. This is at the Gabba. I really think GWS are a good chance here, and I really wanted to tip them. All week I was kind of thinking about it, but the teams have landed, and Lockie Whitfield and Tim Taranto, who were both missing last week, have failed to come up. I still kind of think they're a chance, but it's probably not quite going to get it done. McCluggage is out for Brisbane. That hurts, but McStay comes back. McAdams comes back. I think they'll be too strong, but Giants certainly a sneaky chance here.
Yeah, I think I don't have as much faith in the Giants as you do. This one was a pretty easy one for me. I think Brisbane at home against a team that is a bit inconsistent. I guess on their day they could beat them, but yeah, for me this is pretty easy. I'm going to go with the Lions. And Gus has also gone with the Lions. So there we go. 3 for that game. All right, next one of the round. It is Geelong versus the Adelaide Crows at GMHBA Kardinia Park. Crows missing Tex Walker. He's out with COVID protocols, I believe. And the Cats lose ex-Crow, Paddy Dangerfield. I don't think that's going to matter all that much, though. Geelong at home are very, very difficult to beat, and the Crows, they find it very, very difficult to win. So the combination of those 2 things means that I think Geelong will win comfortably.
Yeah, we've seen how much better Adelaide are when Tex plays, and unfortunately for them, he's not playing, and they're playing down at Kardinia as well. So it would be a monumental upset if the Crows knock them off. I think Geelong should do it by 7 or 8 goals.
And Gussie has also gone with the Cats.
Excellent. A much more interesting game up in Darwin. This is Hawthorn versus the Gold Coast Suns. Both teams in reasonably good form. Hawthorn coming off a fantastic win against the Lions last week. Gold Coast not getting the win, but had a reasonably good few weeks before that. I think that I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go with the Suns here. Also, I've never played at TIO Stadium in Darwin, and it's a pretty unusual place to play. They're coming from Tasmania last week to Darwin this week. It should be an interesting contrast for them. Big news, however, for the Suns with Sean Lemons out with health and safety protocols. So that really hurts you and also the side. So that could sting them, but they'll still be too good.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, that is enough of a reason to tip the Hawks because Sean Lemons is the heart and soul of AFL in general, but definitely the Gold Coast Suns. So I will be tipping the Hawks for another upset. They did me well last week. I'm going to keep riding them. You keep riding it. When you're winning, you keep going. That's as far as I'm concerned. That's how tipping works. And so I've got Hawthorn for the upset. And Gussie has gone with the Suns. So there we go. That's one for me to make up another couple of points there.
Alrighty, Melbourne versus Freo. This is probably not as appetizing it was a few weeks ago when Freo were in really good form, but should still be a good game. I'm actually going to this game, so I'm looking forward to this on Saturday afternoon. MCG, which should favour the Ds. Melbourne have lost Langdon, who's very important to the way they play with the wing role there. But Fife hasn't come up for Freo. There's a bit of talk that he might come straight into the side. They haven't elected to do that. So I think Melbourne, obviously playing the better footy, the better team, and at their home ground. But I hope to see a good contest from the Dockers.
I'm so tempted to tip Freo. Like it just kind of feels kind of like what I said last week, where it's like they need to show something, they need to do something. But just based on how they've been playing and the fact that I think it might be rainy on Saturday, that's what the weather forecast is, and they have shown that they cannot play in the wet. And so it's against Melbourne. It might be the best team we've seen in a really, really long time. I am going to tip Melbourne, but I really hope Freo win. I really hope Freo win because that would be good for the competition, I think. Gussie has gone like the coward he is with the Melbourne Demons.
All right. Well, Freo winning against Melbourne might be good for the competition, but what isn't good for the competition is West Coast playing the Western Bulldogs on Saturday night. They will bring back Josh Kennedy from injury, which is cool, but Bulldogs still have a fast period team. They've got a bit of a point to prove as well, I think, the Dogs. They've been coming in fits and starts. We thought they've been back and then they sort of will lose one, and had a really, really strong win last week against the Suns with a really, up and going midfield. I think they'll double down on that with a very, very big win over the poor old Eagles in Perth.
Yeah, this one's that's not quite a no-brainer, but yeah, Dogs are gonna win. Dogs are gonna win by a fair bit, I would imagine. Gussie agrees with me. Dogs.
Righto. So Sunday, 3:20 the MCG, traditional rivals Collingwood versus Carlton, always a big occasion. Hoping for 80,000 people. I don't know if they'll get that, but it'd be great if they did. I reckon that this game will be reasonably hard fought. Collingwood have shown a resilience this season, their ability to fight out games and not get too far behind on the scoreboard at any given stage should keep them in the match. Conversely, Carlton are playing this season where they have these huge, incredible quarters or halves to win matches and then tend to be relatively easy to reel back in at certain stages. So that on that basis, I think it'll be tight. But in the end, Carlton's quality is too strong, particularly, through the midfield there. They've got too many options, and Collingwood, I think, still reliant on too few. So Carlton for me.
Yeah, this one, Carlton should win. Carlton should win, which means I'm going to tip Collingwood because I feel like it's one of these games that is a bit of a bogey for them. They're a better team, but they're playing long time rivals, like one of the top tier rivalries in the competition. And the Pies have been good, coming off a really good showing last week. I think it'll be a bit of an upset, but I think Collingwood are going to just be a little bit too level-headed for these Blues. I could see the Blues going down and having one of their bad quarters and really sort of stepping on the throat and taking advantage of it, and that being enough that they just don't let them back in the game. So Collingwood for me there. Gussie, on the other hand, has gone with his favourite team in the competition, the Blues.
St Kilda versus North Melbourne. I did hear an interesting stat today that North Melbourne have beaten St Kilda 13 out of the last 15 times they've played, which is ridiculous. Like I'm very surprised to hear that. That's quite a serious dominance there. However, I don't think that'll parlay over into this match on this occasion. Interesting to note with the teams this week, it is just the extended benches. So they've named an extended squad to be trimmed down on Friday. But Jackson Archer, son of Glenn Archer, has been named in that extended squad. So why not? Why not give him a debut? They've got nothing to lose. Like, just chuck him in there, see what happens. If he plays like his old man, it could get very interesting. But I think that St Kilda will have a very big win in this one. They need a little bit of a percentage boost, and playing North Melbourne under the roof at Marvel, there should be no excuses for them not coming away with a 10-goal win.
Yeah, they'll be licking their lips, I reckon, on this one. They'll be absolutely fanging for a big one. And they're going to get it. Saints by 1 million points. Is that? Can we bet that over under 1 million points?
Yeah, you can certainly bet under.
Gussie has also gone with the Saints. All right, last game of the round. It is Port Adelaide versus Essendon in Adelaide. Now, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one because Port Adelaide have been looking good. The Bombers have been showing a little bit lately, but I always feel like this particular matchup, particularly when it's in Adelaide, they always win. There's just like some mojo going on where Port always have always doesn't matter where they are on the ladder and where Bombers are on the ladder, they always have to find a way to get it done. Oh, but having said that, can I tip the Bombers? I said I was off them, and I just I'm going to go with Port Adelaide. It's a sensible one. Port Adelaide, they're clearly been a better team and they've been trending in the right direction, but they dropped the game this weekend. But, no shame in that. So, go with Port Adelaide to beat the Bombers this week.
Yes, I agree. Port Adelaide should win this at the Adelaide Oval. Charlie Dixon comes back in for them. Underrated loss, I think, for the Bombers is Mason Redman. He's been having a pretty good year with his drive-off halfback, and I think he's he's Essendon's best player in dream time, one of the best players on the field. So I think that him going out does hurt them, especially at Port Adelaide with their ability to run and move the footy, quickly. I think that'll be an asset that they could at least afford to not have without, as you know. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. I'm going with Port Adelaide as well. And Gus
has also gone with Port. He hates the Bombers. No faith.
All right. I think me and Gus have actually got the same this week, which is a little bit concerning since I'm smoking him. But I guess we'll have to...
Or terrible news for me, I guess. Like one or the other.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. That's the tips for round 10. Round 11, which is the second portion of the Sir Doug Nicholls round. If you haven't put your tips in yet at work, I suggest, look strongly at our suggestions and maybe reconsider everything about what you're doing, not just in a football tipping sense. Now, we will be back next week for our regular full body episode, which will be looking back at round 11, forward to round 12 and all of the news in between. So make sure you tune for that and make sure you hit that subscribe button down there so that you don't miss a single moment of On the Outer in 2022. Lemons, thanks for joining us again, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.
Ciao.